Good evening, everyone. I just want to hop on real quick and talk about the future potential of the power of the Nintendo Switch 2. I kind of wanted to give a brief overview, give my 2 cents on it, and then kind of specifically talk about how Switch 1 games would run on the Switch 2. Like if there's going to be any new optimization for the Switch 1 games. Like for example, the games that started to run like ass. Like there were bits and pieces of Mario and Luigi Brotherhood that ran like butt. And then there was obviously the most infamous one was, the first party, not so much first party, but Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, and a bunch of third party games that really had no reason to even be ported to the Switch 1. Like for example, I think it was Mortal Kombat 11 or 10 that it was dog doo-doo, whatever. But so I wanted to go over real quick to how much of a jump Nintendo Switch 1 goes to Nintendo Switch 2. I'm not an analyst, I'm not an engineer, and I gotta preface these videos all the time. If you really want a good breakdown of what the SoC looks like, potentially, there's videos made by Digital Foundry, which their channel is dedicated to breaking down technology and us predicting with backed up evidence and shit like that. And I'm more so just giving my 2 cents. But first things first, so for example, in broad strokes, so apparently the Nintendo Switch 2 is gonna be, from the mass majority of people have been talking about it, above a base PS4 but below current gen hardware, which is on point for, if you think about it, for a hybrid portable console and for Nintendo in general. They haven't really focused on power, raw power, since the GameCube. They're more so innovative, and then I guess their mottos fun games and shit, which they have delivered for the most part. And something I know I'm jumping from topic to topic, but something I wanted to jump on before I forget is our Switch 1 ports to the Switch 2, and by that I mean, for example, we got the mass majority of the Wii U library repackaged through a definitive edition, upscaled edition, or some kind of remaster or remake onto the Switch 1. And so we might see some of that coming to the Switch 2. For example, the rumored, speculated Breath of the Wild 4K edition that was shown in that one game show last year, or not even last year, so I think it was the end of 2023 from what I remember. Time's going by quick. But so we might, and a counter argument to that is that the reason we had so many Wii U ports resold and repackaged on the Switch 1 was because the Wii U sold horrendously, and obviously since the console sold horrendously, the software did, and there was a lot of good games that were stuck on the Wii U that didn't stand a chance, that found new life in the Switch 1, and for the better for most, I think all the games, even though they were repackaged and resold, sold a shit ton better, not just because of the install base, but because of the install base. But for example, the biggest example is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Originally that was a Wii U game, and it got ported over to Switch 1 within the I think it was April 2017 when it came out. They revamped the battle mode, and then it got repackaged and resold for $60. And then eventually came out with more DLC and more characters with the booster pack and shit. But yeah, that's so. Since we didn't see, obviously the Switch 1 was not a flop, it was a commercial success, currently standing at number 3 spot of best sold consoles of all time, handheld and home consoles. So we don't have to worry about that. But can we see Switch 1 games just being repackaged? And if that's the case, like the Breath of the Wild one, what does that mean for backwards compatibility for the Switch 2? Because we did get an asterisk on that one message that most games will be backwards compatible. And if that's the case, will it be like the DS to the 3DS where you just pop in the cartridge and you're good to go? Or there has to be a patch? Or can there be like a paid wall $10 upgrade patch where it increases the resolution or frame rate or stability. I don't see many developers having that much incentive to go back to their old games and kind of like fix them up. And if they're gonna do that, I can see them more so doing that and then just selling it as a new separate game, like a definitive edition. Like for example, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. That game ran like dog doo-doo or whatever on the Switch one. But if the Pokemon company does decide to go back and refix it, and speaking of that, apparently they mentioned that they were going to fix it back in the day, like a few years back when it first launched, which they still haven't done so to this day. They basically just moved on to Pokemon ZA, and I'm pretty sure they're working on Pokemon Gen 10 or whatever. Even if they did decide to do that for the Switch too, I can see them just selling the game as a new separate game. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, Ultra Scarlet and Ultra Violet, or whatever the heck you want to call it. Maybe add a small side story to it. But yeah, so I don't see a lot of developers doing it, to be honest. If the way Switch 1 is gonna jump, what cartridges are gonna go into Switch 2 is gonna be more so how the DS does to the 3DS. I read online that, for example, popping a GameCube game into the Wii, just for like 99% of the game, all it does is decrease load times, similar to DS to 3DS. There's no substantial change. I think if I remember correctly, popping a DS game into a DSi did help. That makes sense though, because similar to how if you pop a 3DS game into the new Nintendo 3DS, there's more stable frame rates, I think it was. Like for example, Super Smash Bros. 4 for the 3DS. That game had like if you were to play it on the new Nintendo 3DS as opposed to the OG Nintendo 3DS, there was some kind of frame rate boost. But that's a mid-gen refresh jump and not like a substantial new generational jump. So as for what I believe, I think we're just gonna get what we got with the DS to 3DS and the GameCube to Wii, where you're able to just pop in the Switch game into the Switch 2 and it plays just as is. Maybe we'll get faster load times, but if there are gonna be graphical increases and frame rates, it's gonna be in a definitive edition of that game. Like for example, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity definitive edition. They might throw in a new characters from Tears of the Kingdom into that Age of Calamity game and then kind of just sell it to you as a new game. $70. Why go through all that effort for like a $10 patch? That's not really a smart business move. But as for the jump in power, the only significant difference I can see happening between the Switch popping in a Switch 1 cartridge into a Switch 2 is just maybe reducing the load times. I know it sounds kind of disappointing, but I think that's where Nintendo's headed towards. If anything, we're just gonna get repackaged definitive edition games. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below, whether I'm wrong or what other ways can Switch 1 games be improved on the Switch 2, whether it's behind a paywall or just popping it in, or definitive edition of game. And I'm repeating myself at this point. Well, if you've made it this far, please like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you. Oh, and hit that noti bell, please. Alright, thank you. Have a nice night. Bye.